welcome to Behind the Mask, a show where we talk about all things men. My name is Emmanuel, I'm a relationship coach, and I will be leading this conversation alongside Kevin, who is a consulting psychologist, and Joseph, who is the dude who has lived experiences, whatever that means, but we need to hear something from him.
Yeah.
So gentlemen, welcome back. It's good to see you. How are you doing?
Cool.
Yeah?
Doing great, great, yeah.
Fantastic. Those were such manly answers.
Yeah.
If we had asked, members of the other sex, I will
So
not
as I
say
was
him.
coming,
So yeah, I know. Yeah, but men, in fact, it's funny
We
that
keep
you
it
said
brief.
that. Yeah, it's funny that you said that because I was sharing with somebody the other day. I was telling this people in a counseling room, and I was telling them, men, when we have trouble, my boy will come, dude. Yeah. Hey, things are bad at home, man. Yeah, it's bad. Strong, man, strong. And we have told the entire story. And it's over.
Amma, you conclude it with, yeah, it's not easy, eh? It's not easy. We move.
But yeah, that was such a very manly answer.
Yeah.
So awesome, guys. Last time we had a fantastic conversation. We really got into it. Guys became deep. Hopefully we're going to become deep again like that. I'm looking forward to the conversation. But as we would like to do is we would love to continue this definition of who a man is. So we're going to begin the show again with that. What is your definition of who a man is?
Well, I mean, like I said last time, I don't think there's a one-size-fits-all definition. It's a subjective definition. However, what I would add to the definitions is someone who is in touch with their emotions, meaning that there's levels of self-awareness, someone who is dependable, takes accountability, and takes care of themselves. They practice their self-care. So I would add that to the many definitions that are there.
So me, I'm asking, which man is that you're talking about?
Though, what I would say also, on the other side, there are people who think being a man, there are so many men out there who think being a man is living a life of pain and suffering. They think that being a man ni kujikaza, you go through hardship, you be strong, and you don't complain, and you put your head down and work as hard as you can.
But even as we define, when somebody says define a man, these are the things that we're going to talk about. First of all, he's physically strong, macho. Woo, it's about me. Pound the chest. A person who talks rough, who's authoritarian, aggressive. Doesn't cry, macho. Those are the definitions of a man.
A soloist.
A soloist. There you go. Yeah. One who conquers women.
Yes.
And other ones are, there's this term they use. Men are dogs, as in they spread their seed everywhere. If you know what I'm talking about.
Yes.
It's not the parable of the sower.
No.
What about?
All right.
What about men are trash? You heard that one before?
Men are trash. Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah.
It's a new version of men are dogs. Men are useless.
Men are useless.
Yeah.
Irresponsible.
Yeah. Can't commit. Unfortunately, for a lot of people, by the time you're hearing men are trash, it's usually experiential.
Yeah.
I've experienced a trashy man. And so have my friends.
That's true.
We've experienced trash.
Yeah.
And
so it's generalized.
The trash is similar.
And it's generalized.
Yeah, like let me give you one.
Yeah.
You've impregnated a girl, then the classic one. I need to search myself. Kwani. I'm like, you've left a girl pregnant, and then you go search yourself.
Yeah.
Because you have the luxury of searching yourself. You're not the one with the baby in your womb. So you can bounce. Basically, it's a tactic for
for escapism.
Yeah. So some men are trash.
Yeah.
True.
Man, now, based on this conversation that we are having, let's stop it there, because today I want us to talk about man, at the leadership level. What does it mean for man to be at the leadership level? And when we're talking about leadership level, we're not talking about just the government. We're not just talking about the place of work. We're talking also about the home, about community, about even within the context of family, even as a son, as a brother, how do you lead within that context? And Kevin, I want to start with you. What happens when man abandons the role of leadership? And the reason I'm asking this, or other than the fact that it's on paper here, is we are hearing within society a lot about how man has absconded leadership. I was reading a post the other day on Instagram. I think it was on Facebook. One of those. Well, sorry, it was on Facebook. That's how old I am. I'm not an Instagram person, but but the post was talking about. It was just one of those memes that was making fun about Adam and how he absconded his place of leadership. And then, of course, the ladies were going back and forth, the guys, and daughters of Eve, blah 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 blah. But there's this generalization and there's this assumption within society that man has absconded his leadership. Now, what happens in a case like that? What happens when man or men abandon their role in leadership?
Okay. Well, okay, it depends. Right. You see, there's some men who feel like the leadership role is not for them. Yeah. And also, and we were talking about this, and I commend that, because at the end of the day, this person knows their limits, they know what works for them, and they're able to live a fulfilling life, right? So if you feel that being a leader may come with certain pressures or responsibilities that do not work for you, or other obligations that may, be a trigger in the negative sense for you, and you feel that, okay, for me, a situation of not being a leader, or rather being a follower, is better for me, well and good. However, if it's a situation that maybe you were a leader, you had taken that role, you had taken that mantle or responsibility, and at some point now you are not doing that anymore, of course that can be a recipe for disaster, because there are people who are looking to you to lead them and guide them and empower them. And if that was promised before, of course, it will create a lot of challenges. So it depends on whether this is something that you feel works for you. If not, well and good. If it is, now seeing, okay, how do I do this in a way that, it's comfortable for me, there's a balance, and I'm able to effectively lead the people who are looking up to me.
Are you talking about leadership in the home, leadership at work, leadership with friends in church?
So here's the thing. We're talking about leadership, period.
Okay.
All right. Again, there's this assumed, and we've put it, whether it's patriarchal, whether it's cultural, I do not know where it comes from, and we'll probably need to find out. But men are looked at as leaders. Even in biblical terms, the woman was brought as the helper. So we've constantly looked at the man is the leader, the woman follows. First of all, whether that is right or whether that is wrong, we don't know. We'll need to have that conversation.
Okay.
But now, what happens when a man abandons his role?
I'm going to say something very dangerous. Nothing. I'll explain. We say from a home setup, starts with a condom, or lack thereof. If there's no condom, chances are there will be a baby. You bounce, you leave, she takes care of the baby. They've happened without you. Leadership role, in fact, I usually joke and say that sometimes the woman being a helper is when the guy goes, at least there'll be someone to take care of his mistakes. In a work setting, same thing. A guy does not lead, there'll always be someone. There'll always, I think for me, I find it dangerous for men to think that things will crumble when we don't lead.
True.
I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And I used to have a colleague who used to tell me, kama umeona umeshikilia mawingu, ndo wachilia, let's see what will happen. So I think, and you've talked about pressure and understanding, being aware. So I think the most important, for me, I feel the most important thing is the leadership of self, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because the society, the family setup, your friends, whatever way you look at leadership, there will always be someone else. I think that perception of this cannot exist without me is very dangerous.
However, I like that. I like that it's very rational. But the truth is, you know that that phrase we say in Kenya, kwa ground.
Vitu kwa ground.
Kwa ground
ni different.
Vitu ni different. And the truth is, the place the man has been put in society. What you've said is rational. It's okay. I understand it. I get it.
And it has its side effects.
So I get it. However, the man is the assumed leader, and everyone is looking to him.
Yes.
Within our context today, it is assumed that they are failing. They are not fulfilling their responsibility.
Yep.
All right. So when he's abandoning that role, which he has been given, what then, or how is it affecting society?
Okay. So the things that, salsa. Remember when we were being, church was refusing people to dance salsa. One of the things salsa does is that it teaches a man how to treat a woman. It teaches you grace as a man. So things that naturally, culturally are not induced in us, salsa helps that. Now, if I'm a man, as a man, I have a son, and my wife is there with my son, and I leave these two people. The reality is, the only person who will teach this boy how to treat a woman gently is me. And if I leave, that will be a problem. You see, I brought the salsa thing,
So we won't ask you if you know how to salsa, because I think you have two left feet. But that's a story for another day. But I love what you said. I love what you said. There's a role that he plays within the home as the husband. So if my son does not see me treat my wife the way, gently, lovingly, if I'm not bringing roses, if I'm not telling her, I love you, babe, and all those sweet things, then he does not know how to treat a woman. Society designates man as the leader. Why is it so hard to lead today?
Right now we're living in a very sensitive era, and there's certain people who are afraid to lead because of a fear of backlash, right? You know, they're afraid if I say the wrong thing, if I do the wrong thing, especially now with cancel culture, you know, you do something, you're cancelled very fast.
That's true.
So there's some people who they just don't want to deal with that, because leadership roles come with responsibilities of making difficult decisions. You won't be perfect all the time, right? And if certain things are caught, right, and it rubs someone the wrong way, you know, that fear of that backlash can also contribute. For some, it's a lack of self-awareness, you know. There are people who have leadership qualities, but they don't know they have those leadership qualities because they haven't done that self-reflection. Or even self-leadership. They haven't been able to lead themselves before leading others. And self-leadership is things like, are you sleeping well? You know, are you making sure you have a work-life balance? Are you making sure you exercise? Are you making sure that you communicate within yourself effectively with your emotions, your thoughts, and things like that? So I would say there's that backlash, that fear of that backlash. There's that lack of self-awareness that, okay, some people don't know they have leadership qualities. And also that lack of self-leadership, because I believe before you lead someone else, same way you said, you have to lead yourself first, right? Yeah.
I like what you said about the way society is changing.
Yeah.
It's changing so fast.
Right.
And if you're not keeping up, you will quickly offend somebody.
Yeah.
I remember one day using the word midget. Now, midget is an English word to describe a certain person.
Which is
So
now not
it's small.
acceptable.
Yeah.
Now it's not acceptable.
Yes. Now it's what,
It's
small
little,
people?
little
Little
people.
person.
Or
Little
little
people.
person.
Yeah, little person or little people.
Okay.
And that's the correct way of saying it.
Yeah.
And in an instant, I offended quite a number of people who were not little people.
Yeah.
But because I said that word, which is an English term, yeah, and every other day, like
Yeah.
for example,
Yeah.
even forgive me for saying this, but going into now the LGBT,
Q.
you have Q.
Yeah.
You have to remember to include everybody, because now it's all inclusive.
Yes. Yes.
And then and every day it's shifting.
Yes.
And you can't keep up.
Yeah.
So even to speak up
Yeah.
is so difficult. Like even now, I just feel like I apologize if I'm offending you because of ignorance.
Yeah.
But it's so true. As a leader,
It's a learning process.
It's a learning process, and I think we should just grant each other grace.
Yes.
And then be gentle enough to teach somebody and say, hey. So
Exactly.
nowadays
That's
it's
true.
this.
That's
I remember what you were saying earlier on when we were having conversations
Yeah.
in prep for this.
Yeah.
You don't say
Committed suicide. Yes.
Apparently that's wrong.
Yes.
Oh
now,
man, I would have offended somebody.
Yeah. Now, when you say committed suicide, it implies criminal intent, right? Suicide is a symptom of a mental health condition. It's not a characteristic. So if it's being treated like a characteristic, for example, if you're suicidal and then I take you to cell, I'm treating that as a characteristic, right? Like it's a character issue.
It's a character flaw.
Yeah, but at this and with suicide, it's not a character flaw. There's a biological component.
Symptom.
In
It's
fact,
symptomatic to a deeper
exactly,
mental health issue.
and more likely depression.
So what's the word that we should be learn? Listen carefully. Don't
The
say
word-
it in here.
The word is died by suicide, not
Died
committed
by
suicide,
suicide.
died by suicide. That's how we break the stigma, and that's how more people will be able to seek help.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really appreciate that. Before we go on derailing, I want you to just why is it so hard to lead today?
Actually, that's what I was going to say. That fear of being challenged. First of all, I feel now. You remember we said qua ground. Now qua ground. Our generation was brought up by fathers who, number one, we don't question them. Number two, we grew up our mother saying, Ngoja, your father comes. Wait for your father to come. So your father was epitome. And remember last time we were talking about how father knows everything.
Yeah.
Okay? Same thing with the office. Boss knows everything. Now, me, I'm there. I'm in my office. A 20-something-year-old is challenging me. I'm like, what the? Who the? Whomst are you? Who do you think you are? So the thing is, I feel the default setting that we have, which first of all is very hierarchical, and then was very patriarchal. Now you have a situation where I have females in the office who are speaking their mind, and in my head or in a man's head, it means disrespect. Wait, your question, wait, what's going on? And then there is also allowance for mistakes. So, and this has happened where you're sitting down with someone in the office and she burst into tears, and you're like,
What on earth?
and I find it very interesting that most men struggle, and a lot of times it borders between leniency and running away because you don't know how to react. So I think the fact that, you know, that thing for you don't know. Remember when one of my definitions is understanding that I don't know as a man. I think there's a need for learning on my part, on every man's part, to change with the time. You've mentioned about the different changes that are happening. Now in Kenya, there's a lot. I mean, women are being empowered. The fact that more girls are going to high school, more girls are going to university, it means that, I mean, if I have a daughter, I mean, she has to go to university, she has to get a good job. So if she gets a good, do I expect her to be treated the way I think women should be treated in the office? So I think that need for men to understand, like, oh, I can actually fail, and I can actually fail in front of girls. And I can be myself, and I can allow them to be myself, and this girl can do anything she wants. I think that's a thing that our society needs to learn.
Like what me failing in front of her doesn't define me. Really.
Yes, you know? Because you mentioned that. Remember last time you talked about math?
Yes.
And you said how you really struggle to perform, because you're like, in front of, I'm supposed to be.
As the man.
In fact, you're the head and not for tail. It's for men. The girl is the neck. But think about it that way. So I'm not supposed to fail. I'm not supposed to be second to a girl.
And someone with that narrative, you know, they'll have a very difficult time, right?
I know people who struggle to have female bosses.
So then, with that in mind, what is leadership? What is leadership? What can we define leadership as? Because we're talking, what you've transitioned to is you're transitioning to say something about it's okay to do some things in terms of fail in front of women, which now in society is a taboo. Like, and it's rampant even today. Because, you know, I'll never forget this. I was having this conversation with a friend earlier on today, and I was telling them how I remember telling my sons, stop crying like a woman.
Oh, wow.
Yes. I used to do that. I told him, stop crying like a woman. And it was something that I would do, but I was told the same thing.
Okay.
So eventually I had to change that. And anytime I spunk them, I say, it's okay to cry. You are hurt, you're feeling pain. It's okay to express your emotions. The first one, not so much. The second and the third one.
First one is trisex.
Trisex. That one, don't cry like a woman. So that will be the man's man. This other guys will be. But yeah, I mean, and in the conversation, I was just talking about how, you know, the things that I had failed, or I felt that I'd failed as a parent, and how after I learned, I had to correct myself, and I was teaching them.
Do you now get to a point where you even apologize to your sons?
Oh, yes.
For the weaknesses that you seem to have actually portrayed in front of them?
Let me tell you, I started doing that when about 5 years ago, my dad did the same.
Oh, wow.
So I was like, whoa.
Your dad did the same?
My dad did the same to me. He apologized for a lot of the mistakes that he
also
did.
5 years ago, or is it earlier, like?
No. Just 5 years ago.
Okay.
He just said, no. He did that a little bit before that. He did that when he came to visit me in the US.
Okay.
And I'd been married for a few years. That was the first time I heard it from him. But 5 years ago is when he just blatantly just came and said, and as a man, I did not know how to deal with the emotions. I was like, do we hug it out? What do we do? Fist bump? You know, it's all right, man. So it is weird, you know, because of how we are raised. So yeah, you were saying.
That's interesting. I think leadership is adaptability. Meaning, I get to a space. I'm an engineer. I get to a space. I have the knowledge in the office, the knowledge from school, knowledge from different organizations, but I'm coming to work with humans that are unique. Okay? I need to tap into their strengths. I need to help them also as a leader rid themselves of their weaknesses, if any. I need to rid myself of my weaknesses as I lead these people, and I need to also gain from them. So I feel leadership is actually adaptability and learning, okay? And if necessary, the assertiveness, where sometimes you have to make decisions as a leader that you know your people will not be comfortable swallowing.
You can't please everyone.
Yes,
Yeah.
but that, as you've noticed, I've used that as the last thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that even, I think if you do that as a leader, one of the things people will know is that as much as I don't like this decision, this guy has my best interest. Because you've learned them, you've basically built a relationship with them, and it's not, I'm going, you guys are coming at what, it's, we are going.
I think to add on that, I would say even empowerment, right? And I think you've also you've touched on that as well. You know, where you find the strengths in the people you're leading, and you work with that, and you try to encourage that, right? I think even being a good communicator, people need to understand your vision, and if you're not able to communicate your vision clearly,
how else will they come out
Yeah.
of their shells? How else if they don't understand this is where we are going?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think even the ability to take criticism,
Yeah.
and feedback,
Yeah.
because you're not perfect, right? And even part of self-awareness is feedback.
Yeah.
There are things we think about ourselves that may not be the actuality. You may think you're a great singer.
Until Simon Cowell shows up.
And it tells you...
or in our context, Ian Bogwa.
tells you that's not the case, and I think having that info...
Or you could actually be a good singer, then someone much better than you comes.
Yeah.
What happens? Do
Yeah.
you now diminish yourself because this person is better than you?
Exactly, yeah. So...
I love what you're saying. And these are pitfalls that we all struggle with. And we don't realize. I think the things that you've said, we'll all struggle in one or the other.
Yeah.
Let me ask you, then how does, a man lead himself?
Okay.
How do you lead yourself?
Yeah.
Maybe I can share one, since you guys have been talking a lot.
What are you saying?
Fair enough.
I've been
But
saying-
you're asking us questions.
I'm saying you are here.
We're answering your questions and then you're saying we're talking
You're
a lot.
here. That's what I'm saying. But
Let me see if my
I mean, just one wisdom that I have with all these smart men. But one of the things that I've even lost my train of thought, but one of the things that I have learned about self-leadership is one, I cannot lead from a place of ignorance. And this I learned because one of the struggles I had growing up is that I was dyslexic. So I didn't read much.
Oh, really?
I couldn't read. I struggled reading. Words were neither here nor there. They were all over. So I taught myself how to listen. So because the universe and the world then did not favor people like me, the context of culture that we live in did not favor people like me, then that means my knowledge was that much more diminished than everybody around me.
Okay.
Now, there's audio everything. There's audio Bible, there's audio this, there's audio books. My Kindle is full of audio books. I listen to them driving. The more I've gained knowledge, the more I've gained understanding. For me now, I feel like even when I stand in front of people, I have something to say.
Yeah.
And for me, I do relationships. I do relationship coaching. So it's important for me to know what it is I'm telling people. So part of self-leadership is gaining as much knowledge.
Yeah.
Gaining as much knowledge in order to be able to disseminate those to help whoever it is that I'm with.
Yeah.
Okay.
And my answer is self-care, and that's part of self-care. And it goes back to what I was saying. You see, how are you treating yourself, right? because if for you to be able to lead others and treat others
Yeah.
well, it starts with you.
Yeah.
And self-leadership is also understanding what are my limits.
Yeah.
What am I good at? What do I struggle with?
Yeah.
What do I have a work-life balance? Am I eating well?
Yeah.
Am I sleeping well? Am I exercising? Basically, self-care, I feel like it starts with self-care. Yeah. What about you?
Self-examination. Allow me to use a verse. You know that do not think of yourself more than you ought to think of yourself. That's for me, that's a very strong thing. You remember last time I mentioned when my dad challenged us and he said, being number one is not everything. You could be number one in this school, but when you go to another school, you're like number 52, So the thing about that is bettering yourself based on the fact that you understand that you're not the best in this universe where you only exist alone. Okay? So I'll give you an example. I sing, okay? By the way, I dance, Gasho. Like, I really dance well.
He took note of that.
Yeah. I took offense.
We have to go on break for this. These are lies, guys. These are lies. Okay. We have to go on break. We change this whole set, put some disco lights and see.
So let me tell you how interesting. I've even trained people in dancing. Anyway, so the reason I'm talking about singing specifically is because what that has done for me, it's a small thing, but because I was told never to think of myself as someone who is good at what they do without necessarily, like there's nothing wrong with checking yourself with someone who is better or there's a standard that's better. What I try to do as much as possible is, when I was much younger, is learning the different voices and the different things. And that taught me, like, I'd hear someone sing and I'd want to do that. And over years, that actually got me to a point where I could if you want, I can do for you right now. But for your self-esteem, I do not want to.
I'm looking out for you.
But for real, in terms of, and I noticed because of that, I'd see people, and again, this is a small thing. Singing is not a big thing for a number of people, considering it's not their careers. But
you're really minimizing.
No.
Talent.
I noticed, like, there are guys who I'd listened to, and this guy is feeling like he's good. And you guys have also seen it on these two competitions where Ian Bobo is, and the guys like, I can sing. I am because there's like a self-assuredness that is there that's toxic. And the guy comes and sings and you're like, wow. You can sing to yourself in the shower or to your wife if she has a muffled thing but the thing is, for me, that understanding that I can be good, but I can be better, and I can be best. And I cannot be best based on the small things I was doing when I was good. I have to add more things for me to be the best. And for that, I have to learn.
So self-examination.
So
looking inside.
Looking inside
to a meeting.
Yeah, calling myself to a meeting. And if Emmanuel, I come and sing next to Emmanuel, and I need to be careful also.
Yeah.
It's not me going to Emmanuel. It's not me going to Kevin, who has no experience in singing, and saying, but listen to me. This guy's insecurities might make him, and we used to do that when you're small. You can't sing. and you can hear this guy is singing better than you, but because he's affecting your self-esteem and you cannot sing. Or you'll tell me you're singing like a girl. You get? So for me, even when I seek help, it's seeking help from people who can help me. Yeah.
The right
all
sources.
these definitions you've talked about actually cut across all genders.
Yeah.
And I love that.
Yeah.
I love them. So ladies, this one was also for you. It's not just a man thing. So what are characteristics of good leadership?
a good communicator.
Good communication. Mm-hmm.
Someone, I mean, integrity, of course, is very important.
Man, that's a struggle.
It's very,
It's a struggle.
yeah. For
Does
some
that mean
people,
we
it's
don't
like
have any
asking
good
them to
leaders?
fly, you know.
Yeah.
And I think also someone who's dependable. Someone, I'll plug in those three. I'll let. Yeah.
Dependability is very important.
Yeah.
Reliable. I don't know whether reliable and
Reliable.
dependable are the same. No, it's not the same.
No.
Yeah.
You need to be reliable.
Yeah.
You need to be a good listener. I notice for a lot of when you're preparing, we talk about the perception that someone who's outgoing is a good leader is actually a very big fallacy.
Yeah.
We realize that.
And I think being a good listener, I can tell you, being a very outgoing person, an extremely opinionated person, you learn being a good listener is something you need to teach yourself and remind yourself to do all the time.
Man, you got that. Wow. Ladies and gentlemen, if the show ended we have achieved. But that's amazing because that just tells me that's self-aware. You know yourself.
Yeah.
That, I'm outgoing, I'm opinionated, so I will drive my agenda wherever I'm going. So what can I do to change to become a better person? So intentionally teach myself to listen. That means there are moments you'll have to bite your tongue, like literally.
So let me give you an example. With friendships, leadership in friendships. One of the things that I learned a long time ago is if you're going to win an argument, if you want to win an argument, make sure you understand what the other person is saying, number one, and make sure you communicate to them that you understand them fully, so that when you're explaining yourself, you're explaining yourself from the point that they have gotten that you get them.
So that means you have to listen.
Yes.
Something I wanted to mention also, there's been, and it's a fallacy as well. I've had this so many times from many patients and clients that I've worked with. There are people who think that because they get anxious that they can't be leaders, right? And that is completely false. In fact, I believe that someone...
You need to be afraid.
Exactly. You know, and anxiety is a state of fear or worry or both. And it can have levels. It can be...
As a professional, I think you can expound on this. Apparently, if someone does not exhibit any form of anxiety or fear, there's actually something
There's
wrong.
a problem,
Wait, are you guys saying there's something wrong with me?
There's a problem. Because, that's true. Because anxiety is a natural response. If there's uncertainty in any level, and uncertainty is a basic human need, if there's uncertainty, of course you'll be anxious. And it can be in the mild, moderate, and severe form. The severe form is where your ability to function is compromised. Mild, moderate, you're still able to push on.
So everyone fears change.
Exactly. Change, anything new, uncertainty. So I believe that, you can still be quite anxious and be a great leader, because in fact, you'll be able to understand if someone you're leading comes to you and says, I struggle with speaking in public, you'd be able to be empathetic enough to support them and guide them through that. Yes. So even that fallacy of a leader doesn't get nervous or anxious or no fear or, knows everything. That's a fallacy.
Okay. So in our conversation, we are talking, and I'm hearing we constantly have to be self-aware. We always constantly have to look in. We have to know ourselves. We have to know what our strengths are, what our weaknesses are. Also know the strengths in leadership of those who are around us. One of the things I wanted to say about leadership that I feel is also important and not spoken about is the ability to raise others and to call out others and to call out leadership and to empower others. You said it earlier on, to be the people that they are supposed to be. For example, I always believe for my sons, I'm not going to tell them what they're going to do, they'll tell me what they want to do based on what they have experienced and they like. And then my job is to give them the tools to be the best at that, which is opposite to what I was what was done to me. You know, when we were growing up, if you're not an engineer, a doctor, a lawyer,
It's a big
you haven't made it.
Five. Doctor, engineer,
Yeah.
lawyer,
They added pilot at some point.
architect.
Yeah.
Actually, there were 6.
Yeah.
Pilot and disappointment. 6.
Somebody
I should be a
please come.
comedian.
Let us trade. We need to remove this guy from set. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, I think that was amazing. Thank you so much for bringing your A game and sharing from your hearts, from your wisdom and smarts. Yeah, this is a conversation that's ongoing. This is what we do. We talk about men and men's issues and men's strengths. And our goal is just to define what the man is. Our goal is to inspire men to live differently, inspire men to take their place in society, and to do it the right way. So that we can actually change, our societal setting. Thank you so much for tuning in. Again, my name is Emmanuel, along with Kevin and Joseph, and we will catch you on the next episode.
Man.